Hello, I'm Alpha Shepherd, and I am the One Thing Remix piano guy. One day I made a recording. I took an isolated a cappella vocal track of Amerie's One Thing just right off of YouTube, and I just played some different chords under it just as a fun thing to do, not thinking much of it. Later on I posted it, and lo and behold, within a few weeks, it became viral. People were remixing it, making memes over it, playing video games to it. My phone was blowing up. It's funny. Several years ago, I was known as the pianist that played behind Mandy Harvey on America's Got Talent. Simon Cowell gave the golden buzzer and all that. That was my 15 minutes of internet fame then. And now it's this piano remix I made, which is insane. But it's me. I'm the guy that did it. It all started here. And it's been quite a ride. I'm well aware that I have peaked with One Thing and will likely never make anything that will spread like that again. And I'm fine with that. I didn't really make Shepherd School of Music to make viral content. Even though it's great, it definitely helps, and I'm not complaining. But I also love teaching, and I want to help more people with their music. But still, this is cool, and I kind of want to document this. So what I like to do is walk you through the process of how it all happened. So here's what was going through my mind when I made this. I like to take things apart. I have a bit of a deconstructive mind. So I was listening to it one day, and I noticed this chord here in the original. And I thought, well, this is a very interesting chord here. It was just not what you would expect in a song like this. Specifically, this G, it stuck out to me. Like, what was this doing here? Because essentially, the song is in a minor key, right? It's an E flat minor. So this G doesn't really belong here. This G almost implies that the music is in a major key. Now, it's not really, but out of context, you could almost see it that way. So here I am thinking, okay, we have Amerie's vocals being in a minor key, while the music is in a major key. Big asterisk, but you see what I mean, right? And it sounds great. It's brilliant. But what if I regressed it and I made the chords in a minor key as well? So instead of doing this flat 9 chord, we would instead do this chord here, landing on a E flat minor chord, and notice I'm playing a G flat instead of this G, right? It would be a more minor chord progression. So that's how it all started, So now I got to figure out how I want to spell my chords. I come to a decision, And then from here, I even went into the harmonic, like a harmonic sequence, going through the circle of fifths. But that's a little too deep for this video. But you also start thinking about the notes in between. Some embellishments. Still same chords. And then from there you expand it even more. I go up here, up an octave. I'm still just playing the same chords, but I'm just embellishing and improvising over it, There's so many things you can do, right? But you pretty much figure out where you want to dial it up or dial it back, until you get the balance that you want that, complements, the story that you're trying to tell. So once I locked it in, I actually just recorded it that night. The thing is that I actually did all of this years ago before I even made Shepherd School of Music. But later, I needed some content to keep the momentum flowing. So I just reposted it on TikTok. I think within a couple hours, I saw I got 1,000 views. And I thought, oh, great. I guess it's doing well. And I just went on with my day. Then the next thing I knew, my phone was blowing up. That algorithm, man, it is a powerful thing. Jeez, man. I was also getting a ton of comments of people demanding I release a full version, which is quite the compliment. The thing is, I didn't want to release it in an official full capacity because of, copyrights. I don't own the rights to the song. I've done something like this before in the past, and I've gotten some heat from a record label, and it freaked me out. I didn't want to retread that road. But now, the track is everywhere. You can't stop it. If you want to listen to it on Spotify, it's there. I don't know who, but someone put it up there, as well as on YouTube, SoundCloud, whatever you can think of, it's out there. I also put up the stems for anyone to download on my website, all completely for free. It's still up there. The link is in the description. But thousands of you have downloaded the track and made your own versions of it. And a lot of those versions have also gone viral. And I think it's great. I really claim no ownership of it. I think it's great for everyone to enjoy and use it to their heart's content. I'm just grateful. So many of you enjoyed my playing. So why? What is it about this track that resonates with so many people? Well, I'm not entirely sure, but I believe it's a combination of a lot of things. One of which being nostalgia. Nostalgia is a powerful thing, and I remember this song being huge in the early 2000s. So it's also striking a chord with millennials. Also, the song is featured in the video game GTA 5, which happens to be one of the best-selling video games of all time. So early on, it resonated very well with gamers. I remember seeing a lot of GTA comments. I think it also spread so much because the tune is just kind of highly memeable. There's just something about the lyric and the tune, and man, the memes have been on fire. Like, it's been fierce, but more on that later. Finally, and I think this is a bit more nuanced, but finally, I think it was the unfinished aspect of the track that made it more inviting. There were a few things about the track that weren't perfect. I didn't really properly record it, a couple parts were loose. It was essentially just a sketch, not a finished product, but that wound up being all for its benefit. It leaves room to the imagination. It evokes inspiration for people to add their own beats or music to it. Whereas if it was a finished product, there wouldn't really be any room for that, right? I think when it comes to social media now, a lot of times it's the unpolished, unfinished stuff that spreads. It gives your followers a more personal perspective to your artistry. And it makes you think. We spend all this time mixing and mastering and tweaking and editing and perfecting it and not nearly get the same reach. I worked on a Beyonce remix that was next, and I thought, like, man, if they liked this one thing, they'll really like this Beyonce one, because I added drums and organs and all this stuff. And while it did fine, it did not perform nearly as well as the One Thing track. And so it just makes you think, how necessary is all these things? Now, I'm not saying you should never finish a song or never properly, mix your stuff. But I think the game has changed now. So my advice to up-and-coming artists, which I suspect a lot of you are, would be to maybe don't go out of nowhere drop a full album with 5 music videos that's super mixed and mastered that you've spent thousands upon thousands of dollars on. Maybe you can try using some aspects of what made One Thing work. Like maybe you can use nostalgia or video games or whatever is trending with your audience, and then gradually sprinkle in sketches of your original work that leaves rooms for others to add their spin on it or even give you some feedback. It's not going to guarantee you making a viral post, but maybe it can get you past those 200 plays if that's what you're dealing with. Also, don't be afraid of negative comments. People are going to have different opinions, and that's fine. There was a point early on in which people were saying my track was off pitch, which is their right to feel. But ultimately, it helped because a lot of people were coming in and saying, well, no, it is on pitch and you're just hearing it wrong. And like, well, what do you know? And it kind of went there. But ultimately, that helped me because it sparked a discussion, which shows increased engagement, which then encourages the algorithm to spread the post to even more people. So yeah, that's my take on why it spread. I'm sure that's not every single reason. I'm not a social media person, but that's what I was able to gather from the little bit that I was able to observe. So I got to give a shout out to the content creators who have been using the remix in the background of their post. It is crazy. Like seriously, there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of these posts. Like, it is crazy. It is never stopping. This version here has nearly 40,000 posts, not views, posts. And people have been getting creative. I've been seeing all sorts of stuff. It's this one thing that's got me tripping, one thing that irks me. You know, if you can post about like a random quirky thing that you're held up on, this track has become some sort of companion to that little thing. Now it's the slow motion, I'm backing up. I saw one about I'm a lawyer and my client shows up with an undershirt. Whoa, you know, and I don't know. That's the one thing that's got them tripping. It's something how it's blowing up. Celebrities are using it now. It's just crazy, you know. Also, shout out to A-Marie. I do hope my tomfoolery didn't annoy you. Here's a few more I saw in no particular order. Thomas was one of the first people who actually took it and kind of turned into a house thing. And this surprised me this was the first one. I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. I'm pretty sure he already made a full version of it on SoundCloud that you can check out. But then from there, you know, I also put up, you know, the sheet music, and to a lot of pianists, like this person here. And this is something, right? This is like people all around the world are playing it. Going to halftime. Would you hit your roommate with a pot for $1 million? And then he's just... The basketball crowd has sort of taken over here. What about this? What's this one? Another basketball. Yeah. Boom. Yeah, man. Watching cartoons isn't childish at all. Maturing is realizing that notice he put the flex in there. He's really flexing there. Sure, yeah, all right, guys. I you know, a lot of times we know what's happening here, but still. Oh, skater. I want to see this guy. What? Yo! I want to play that piano. I want to see that again. I love how it says pianist, just in case we didn't know who that was. I guess maybe it's, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why it says that. That's awesome. So how does it feel to make something viral? Well, it feels great. I mean, it hasn't really changed my life or anything like that, but it's still crazy. I'll tell you one thing. I wish this could have happened a little bit later. I was still building Shepherd School of Music when this all happened, and it would have been nice to have a few more things in place before the hundreds of thousands of people came flooding to my accounts. But as they say, it happens when you least expect it. But yeah, there you go. I was just blowing off some steam one night, and now my playing is on thousands of posts, garnering millions of views. I'll still be making remixes of other songs, even if they're not as good as One Thing, but they're fun to do and they're fun to make. But for this new year of 2024, I have a ton of other stuff planned. In my next video, I'll be sharing my process of how I work with singers, and it's gonna get a little bit spicy, dare I say even a little controversial. So if you want to see it, go ahead and subscribe. And again, there's a link to a tutorial of One Thing as well as the stems, all on my website for free. And there should also be a few other resources that you could check out as well. Thank you so much for all of the feedback, the views, the comments, the remixes, the memes. I'm taken aback, but I really am grateful that so many of you enjoyed it. And please keep the posts coming. I can't possibly see them all, but they brighten my day whenever I do get a chance to see them. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Alpha Shepherd. Let's make some music.